Sometimes you meet an individual who you think hasn't changed over the years. One such person with me on my show, How's the Josh Today? So what do I say about him? There are so many facets. An autograph collector, a quiz master, a magician, somebody who knows everything on every topic. You just have to have a conversation with him to know that. Let's have it. I have with me Colonel Vembu Shankar, Shaurya Chakra. Hi Vembu.
Good afternoon and thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be on your show and I'm looking forward to this interaction.
Same here Vembu. So starting with childhood, since then till now, you've been an autograph collector. You have over 5,000 autographs. How has the passion grown on you?
Oh, well, I started collecting autographs when I was about 10 years old. I ran behind cricketers trying to get their autographs. And I was in Chennai, at that time it used to be called Madras. And I ran behind cricketers who came to play matches there. And that's how my hobby started off. And it gave me a different kind of, kick, I might say, as a young boy. And then slowly I started taking autographs of celebrities across India and then across the world. I started writing to people, India and abroad. And I found them, they were replying to me. This is all pre-email era.
Wow.
And I found that they wrote nice messages for me.
You used to write them letters?
I used to write them letters, and it was a very costly hobby at that time because if you're going to write abroad, it should be 5 rupees, writing a letter, and it was costly for a young school boy. But I got a lot of encouragement.
So this young schoolboy was in which era are you talking about?
I was
People
born in.
will know your age. So.
Okay, so I was born in '74, and I'm talking about in mid '80s and early '90s.
Okay.
And that's the time I was, in school, and I used to write letters to them, and I got a lot of responses from a lot of celebrities across the world. And when you write the letter, I used to do a lot of research about who the personality is, and that's how my general knowledge and my quizzing, that's how it comes into play. And that's how I've developed this hobby, and it's been an exciting journey for more than 35 years now.
Wonderful. So when you started, did you know that this is called something, or later you got to know that, oh, iska bhi kuch naam hai?
Absolutely, I didn't know about it. I knew philately because I used to collect stamps. That's how young kids in those era started off with their hobbies. And slowly and slowly I started collecting autographs, and then I realized that it's got a name. It's got Philography.
Okay.
And so you have philately, you have numismatics, which are more popular, but Philography was not. But I chose this hobby because I felt that the celebrity leaves a part of himself while signing an autograph.
Yeah.
And I thought that autographs is definitely a slice of history, and that's how I continued this hobby.
And has the approach changed of you getting in touch with a celebrity today than when you were, little?
Oh, it's completely changed. This is the selfie era, and earlier I used to meet them, get their autographs in person, or I used to write letters. I think letter writing has died down now. Now I concentrate more on getting them in person. While I know some celebrities coming to town, and I prepare myself. I try and get something which is unique to the celebrity so that I can approach them and get their autographs. And of course, during the Corona times, it was very difficult to approach someone and get their autographs. And most of the kids nowadays want just a selfie. They don't want an autograph. So when you're taking an autograph, they know that yes, here's an old man who wants.
A serious man, huh?
Absolutely.
Serious intention and a serious man.
Absolutely.
So while now you're a veteran,
Yeah.
when you were in the army, even then you took out time for this hobby of yours, plus so many other hobbies of yours. How did you manage that?
That's the time is the only resource which is limited. So one needs to plan out his time, and especially autograph collection, because most of the times I was posted in far-flung areas. It's very difficult that celebrities would come there and
Obviously, normal people don't come there to talk about celebrities.
So it was a difficult task. But whenever there was some celebrity coming, or when I was on leave, somebody's coming, I should make sure that I can prepare myself and go. Sometimes I've asked my superior authorities that please give me leave because I'm going to go and meet. Maybe when I was posted in Dehradun, when I went to my superior boss and told him that I want to meet Sir Edmund Hillary and he's coming and I'm traveling. He said, yeah, if you're going to take so much of efforts, and I think I should grant you leave. And so it was difficult. But then it's also sometimes when you don't have an autograph for some time and then you get it after 2-3 months, the feeling is definitely different.
Okay, so you have over 5,000 autographs?
Yeah, I think that will be a rough figure. Maybe it's increased a little more over the last year or so, maybe about 6,000 plus autographs.
Amazing. Okay, 5,000 was the last figure that I read when I read
Absolutely,
about you.
yeah.
Okay, so this is amazing. Do you ever see yourself putting up an exhibition with all the autographs that you have under one roof?
Oh, well, to put an exhibition with all the autographs would be very difficult. But what I do is I definitely put up exhibitions, thematic. Sometimes it's about sports stars. Sometimes I put up exhibitions so that children know about our history. So I put up an exhibition when India celebrated its 60th year of independence. And then I did one when India celebrated 70 years of independence, where I put up the luminaries of Indian independence movement as well as people who have contributed to India being such a vibrant democracy. I'm planning something again here for Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, 75 years of India's independence. Sometimes I put up autographs of sports persons, sometimes only specifically cricketers, sometimes only of film stars and things like that. So most of the times it's thematic, but to put all the autographs together, whether I need a whole ground for that.
One football ground.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So Vembu, something about your childhood that you still remember, and something about Chennai.
Well, Chennai is the place I grew up. I was born in Calcutta, but father got transferred there, and I went to a school in Chennai. And I went to a normal middle class school, which was CBSE, not too much of sports and things like that. But I had great set of friends, great teachers who taught me good values. And most important thing, while I was at school, I was a Boy Scout, and that was my exposure to uniform and my exposure to service. And the motto of the Scouts movement was be prepared. So that set my motion to be prepared every time. It helped me in my autograph collection. Always I used to carry 2 pens, be prepared if one of the pens don't work. And slowly I was involved in outdoor activities because in the Scout movement. And that was my childhood. My parents let me do what I wanted, pursue my hobbies.
That's the best thing.
Yeah.
That is how it never died down in you, isn't it?
Absolutely.
They always were there.
Yeah, I think huge contribution from parents and your family, because it is a kind of expensive hobby in the sense that you need to travel, you need to take pictures. In those days it was those film rolls and things like that. They encouraged me. They said, okay, here is someone who is trying to pursue his passion and hobby, and it is something which is not harming you physically or mentally, and it's only adding to your knowledge and adding to a passion that you have. So I think their contribution is excellent.
They let it grow.
Absolutely.
That's wonderful. That's such a मतलब ये इतनी अच्छी सीख है बाकी पेरेंट्स के लिए, क्योंकि everybody always wants to look at the end कि इसका क्या रिजल्ट होगा. Why is my child doing this? But they never looked at that.
बिल्कुल सही बोल रहे हैं, क्योंकि उनको ये लग रहा था कि ये लड़का जा रहा है, ये प्रोसेस अच्छा है, उसके बारे में पढ़ रहा है, उनके बारे में कुछ सीख के ले आएंगे. कहीं सुंदर लाल बहुगुणा से मिला था मैं, वो चिपको मूवमेंट के जो फाउंडर थे. तो जब वो वापस आया तो वातावरण के बारे में बातचीत हुआ, पेड़ कैसे लगाने, उनको कैसे देखभाल करना है. तो कोई ना कोई सेलिब्रिटी से कुछ ना कुछ सीख लेके आया.
As a child in you was very
बिल्कुल
good,
absolutely
positive,
absolutely.
So army, was it chance or choice?
It was 100% choice because of exposure to being a Boy Scout. And those days there used to be a TV serial called Paramveer Chakra, which used to come, Doordarshan, only channel. It was very well shot, and a lot of stories of valor. And Amar Chitra Katha was a great influence on my life. And I liked the uniform, and I used to see the Republic Day parade and things like that. So always wanted to join the army, and I thought the best way to join the army was through the National Defence Academy, because I'd heard a lot about it and the valor of the alumni who were passed out of NDA. So I had my first and last attempt, and I attempted it, and I think I've been, God has been kind, and I cleared it, and that's how my journey into NDA and army. Yeah, absolutely.
So. Something about NDA or IMA days that you still remember, which left a mark on you as a cadet, which as an officer also you followed?
Well, NDA was, initially it was a huge cultural shock for me, coming from South, never done much of physical activities, and, really tough training. But NDA taught me a couple of good things. Every morning we used to start off with a prayer, and the prayer included words, a phrase which said that to do the harder right instead of the easier wrong. This is something that stuck on me as a young 17, 18-year-old boy. And then the second thing that stuck me was the camaraderie. The camaraderie at NDA is unmatched. And that till today, the people who trained with me, my course mates, especially my people from the same squadron, we're very, very close. We are more of a family, and they are the people that I go to whenever I need any support. And these two things stuck in me right in the NDA days. One was the prayer in the morning, which had this very profound words, and the second thing was the camaraderie, which till today has been carrying me forward.
I know. Yeah. I know the best thing that I have felt, having married to an army officer, is that when you people meet somebody, even after 20 years, you meet as if it was just yesterday.
Absolutely. I mean at the Born Army, the camaraderie is as when we were cadets,
That's amazing. And I have been wanting to ask you, you are one of the few who joined, and immediately within 1 year, you were conferred a medal, Shaurya Chakra, an award, which is not everybody's cup of tea. You were awarded that. What led to that?
Well, as a young officer, I had just about a year of service, and like all young officers, we were posted to a field area. I was lucky to be posted to Kashmir, and we were deployed in a place called Kupwara. And we had a lot of information of militants coming, crossing the LC and coming over. And so one of the information we had got, and this was in the year 1998 in the month of July, we thought it was a routine information. We tried to follow up the information. But when we progressed in the operation, it was a difficult day. It was raining badly that day. We had to go to a difficult terrain to lay the ambush so that we can wait for the militants to come. We encountered them 3 days later, and we got into a firefight. And of course, the first emotion is fear. When people say, "Oh, it's a great bravery act," but I always tell the first emotion is fear. I was also afraid. But I was confident of my men. I was confident of my training. There's a popular adage in the army that the more you sweat in peace, the less you will bleed in war. So I was confident of that because of my training with my boys, with the terrain. So the whole operation was a very successful one. Not because that we completely eliminated the whole group of militants, but we didn't have a single scratch in any of my troops. And I'm proud to say that not only that operation,
that's such a big thing.
That's very important, which I realized much later, even during service, that we only talk about the sacrifice of the soldier, but there is a huge sacrifice that the family makes. So when I talk about my operation, yes, there was a little bit of bravery involved, and it is in the heat of the moment, but I would consider my operation to be more successful because there were no casualties. And I'm proud to say that there have been no casualties throughout my service career. And that is something that I wear it on my chest, saying that this is a badge of honor that I wear, that under me none of my boys have got any scratch. Because of which I was awarded the Shaurya Chakra. It was a third highest gallantry award, and very young in service. And then you have to live up to the expectations. You always have to be brave.
You just joined, in fact.
I had just joined.
Yeah,
just about a year of service. Exactly. I was commissioned in 1997. 1998 was the operation. So it was a good start to my career. And it also set a platform for me within the unit and regiment. So I always had to be in my best behavior, and here is a gallantry award, he can't do any mistakes and things like that. And yes, that set me a benchmark which I followed, and I think God willing I've led a good service career.
So talking about service career, you decided, you were doing so well, you decided that now I will put up my papers, and then you decided to do something else which is totally opposite, though it is related to the service of the people who are in the army, but it is absolutely different. So how did you decide on that?
Oh, well, I was commanding a unit in the northeast, and this was right opposite an airport. And one of my tasks was to compile the daily happenings of that area. And I noticed every second or third day there is some soldier who's dying because of accidents or because of medical conditions or suicide. And since I was opposite an airport, I also used to facilitate the movement of the mortal remains, reception of the relatives used to come to collect the mortal remains. And I realized there was a huge knowledge gap. So when I did a little bit of research, I found that these families of those people who die while in service because of non-operational circumstances, whom we call as physical casualties in the army, they are the battle casualties who die because of operational reasons, then you have the physical casualties. Their families have a lot of challenges. I realized that. I did a little bit of research and a little bit of this thing. When I asked questions to people, there was a huge knowledge gap. And also I found out that, over a period of time, the connect between the family and the organization, which is the army, slowly weakens, and that's when I realized that yes, maybe this is the time that I have
to.
The
numbers increase, obviously.
Absolutely, you absolutely put the nail on the head. It's 1,500 every year. We lose soldiers, 1,500 soldiers every year because of non-operational circumstances, whereas we lose over 100 because of battle casualties. So 1,500 is a large number, absolutely, because of the numbers, and that's when I always feel that everybody gets a calling. I was lucky to get a calling early in life. Once when you're a little younger, I can say that I was younger, and also I had other circumstances which helped me, saying that okay, if I voluntarily retire, prematurely retire, as they say in the army, I would be able to dedicate myself to this cause. So that's when I retired and started this project Sambandh.
Okay, so I would want to ask you something about this project, but right now something just struck me. You are a happy bachelor. So when you meet so many of your course mates who are, unfortunately not bachelors, so how do you feel when you meet so many not bachelors and when you're a bachelor?
Not exactly. I would say that this is a choice of mine. One of my great idols was Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. He was a great idol. I think some part of him rubbed on to me, and I met him a couple of times while I was in the service career. I liked his teachings. I liked his thought process. And I found out that when you're single, you get a lot of time to yourself. You can do a lot of things without having the guilt. Without having the guilt. That's all. So marriage or having a relationship is, I think, natural. So I feel good for my course mates that yes, they are in a relationship. They're in a marital relationship.
Yeah, they will be very happy.
That's important. It's important. You need to have the yin and yang. You need to have the Shakti and the Shiv also. So it's a conscious decision by my own, and I think it's a personal decision. I think it's helped me, especially in this course. Financially, it's easier for me to do this because this is a completely philanthropic exercise. If I had a family, then I would have to be. I would have to have guilt if I'm doing this.
The degree of what you can do would have been absolutely different.
Absolutely.
How much do you travel in a month?
I'm entitled to pension because I put in 20 years of service, so I get a pension. And because being a Gallantry Award winner, it's tax-free, so I get a amount. So what I've done is I have earmarked 30% of that pension, monthly pension, to my to Project Sambandh. Yeah. So which translates to about 12 to 14 days of travel, because my main expenses are travel, food and stay, out of which travel is the main expense. So when I worked out, it's about 12 to 14 days. I try and club travels together. And so that's the limit that I've set for myself, and sometimes it overshoots, sometimes I'm not traveling. So generally on an average I'm traveling about 12 to 14 days across the country.
So you're meeting the families of the casualties.
Right. So I meet different sects of people. There are stakeholders in this. One is, of course, the next of kin, the families of those Indian Army personnel who have died while in service because of non-operational circumstances, who are called physical casualties. When I say families, it includes their spouse, children, old parents. They may not be defined as the next of kin, but these are all part of the family. Each of them have got their own challenges. Apart from these next of kin, I also meet the other stakeholders of the Indian Army personnel who are involved in this welfare delivery. I help them to scientifically go about this process, to understand what are the challenges that the next of kin have, help them out with how to maintain the database, how to initiate a conversation with them. Then I also interact with a lot of other individuals and organizations who have been doing this in a different field, talking to widows, talking to elderly parents, how to talk to them. Then I also take some expert advice from different regions. Chennai, South India is different from North India, is different from East India. We cannot have a same template.
Yes.
So one needs to understand the social structure there before I even make an attempt to go to a village to meet the families. So these are the main stakeholders that I speak to.
So the challenges, as per you, when talking about Project Sambandh, which you try to facilitate, are to what degree solvable?
Brilliant question. I think it's a wonderful question that you asked me, because if you only understand the challenges, would you be able to deliver? So I have realized over the last about 4.5 years of doing this Project Sambandh that there are three major challenges that they face. One is the financial challenge, because they get less pension, because the husband dies while in service, and they get about 30 to 60% pension, which translates to about 9,000 to about 20,000 rupees.
And is it tax free for them? Or
it is tax free because they'll come definitely under the tax limit. But they have to look after 2 children, they have to look after the in-laws, sometimes parents, So financial challenge is the major challenge. Then you have the social challenge, because in India at least, these are young widows. When we're talking about these widows, these are about 25, 35 years old, they got their life ahead of them. People are calling them by names, and then there is abuse which happens within the family, happens in the village. There is mental abuse, many times physical abuse, and these social challenges are another. And the third one is the emotional challenge, They feel they have been victimized, they feel solitary, they feel suicidal. And these are the three major challenges, out of which I believe in a mantra called control the controllables, So I try and do things that are in my control. And I believe that most of these challenges can be addressed, whether it's being solved or not, can be addressed by connecting back to the organization, because most of them were part of an organization in a regimented setup, where they were in a cantonment, where the children were going to a military school. They had facilities of entertainment like movie hall or a swimming pool. Then they had great facilities of ration and things like that. And suddenly, because the man has been bit by a snake and he dies, everything just crashes. So most of these challenges can be addressed if you can connect them back to the organization. And financially specifically, the government of India and the Indian Army has got a lot of grants which they can extend for these children of these physical casualties, especially for their education and for the girl children for their marriage.
Okay.
So, by building awareness and connecting them back to the organization, many of them can claim those grants and schemes. So this is the challenge, and how I address the challenge by connecting them. That's why it's called Sambandh. Sambandh is a Hindi word which means to connect. So that's the aim. It's not that I would be able to solve all their problems, because everybody would have different problems. But if you can connect them back to the organization, at least somebody is there to listen. The biggest thing that they always look out is, हमें तो भूल गए लोग, हम तो एक फौज में एक परिवार के टाइप थे और अभी भूल गए हम. So अगर if we can connect them back, I think many of the challenges can be addressed at least.
At least if they know who to speak to.
Absolutely.
When something happens
Absolutely.
or some issue is there, way back in the regiment, right?
Correct.
Okay. So you are the lone fighter in Project Sambandh, or do you have others who are voluntarily working with you in this cause?
Yeah, so Project Sambandh is just one man. I am the only person who's doing this, but I wouldn't say that I'm the only man doing it. I always believe that the Indian Army is supporting me. My course mates are supporting me. The whole of Indian Army hierarchy supports me, because wherever I go, I address them saying that you are the people who have to take it forward. To say that I'm the only man is not correct, but I don't have an NGO or something like that. I'm just philanthropically I do it. So that way you can say it's a one-man initiative. But the team
cause is a one-man initiative.
Yeah, but the team is the whole of. I wouldn't say only the Indian Army, the whole of India. So many people help me out, especially in villages. When I reach out, somebody goes, speaks to the NOK, the next of kin, and explains to them in the language that they understand, because there's a lot of social structure in India. It's very difficult for an outsider to go inside and tell them, okay, this is what you're entitled to, or I've come from the organization. It's very difficult. So somebody from within the society telling them has got more relevance,
Yes. And what about the education sector for the kids of the NOK? So you think that there's something which is being done extensively but not known?
Absolutely. So the Indian Army has realized that these are the challenges, and one of the ways to address the challenges is to make sure the future of the children is well taken care. And for the future, education is a very, very important thing. While they were in the army, they were going to a military school or an army school. So what the Indian Army and the government of India have done is they have granted a lot of schemes and got a lot of aid for the children's education, which ranges from, let's say, about 10,000 rupees to about 50,000 rupees a year. Sometimes you get a laptop for your education, for your higher education. You get some seats in colleges and things like that. Unfortunately, the awareness level is less because the connect is not there. The awareness level is less. And people get confused because most of the communication is full of jargon and it's in English and Hindi, and many of the people don't understand this language, and by the time it reaches them, there is a lot of gap in communication.
So, Vembu, do you plan to document it in terms of what are the questions in the minds of the wives pertaining to financial stability that they're looking at, or the kids who are looking at education in terms of a specific college which is run by the army? Do you plan to do something like that?
Brilliant question. I think again a wonderful question. This is something which very essential because most of them are a little wary about what is the future of their children, what are the options available, because if they were in a cantonment, they would have asked the neighbor who would have had the same age group children, say, aap kahan ja rahe hain, kahan tuition bhej rahe hain, kaun sa entrance exam hai. This is being denied because they go to the village and they are not aware of many of these things. They are not even aware there are many seats which are exclusively for them, So this is something that I am working on. The Indian Army has advertised and put it on their websites, but unfortunately the websites are mostly in English and Hindi, and it doesn't reach them, or it's too difficult to navigate for them. So it's more of a pull system. I'm trying to make it into a push system where, specifically if I know that yes, there is a child who wants to pursue BCom, then only give information about what are the options available in non-science, or if somebody is studying law, then what are the options available, So from a pull system, I'm trying to make it into a push system, for which the database has to be very robust. Database has to have 3 specific criteria, which has to be correct, it has to be complete, it has to be current. Most of the times we have only complete and correct database, we don't have current database. So the challenge is to make the database current.
So Vembu, tell me, when it comes to children specifically, can they write to you? Because these kids know the emails and everything, WhatsApp and all. So can they reach you?
Absolutely. Many of them do, because somehow over the last 4 years, the movement has gained a lot of traction. People know about me, people know about the army schemes and things like that. So people reach out to me. So I've got an email address, the project Sambandh@gmail.com, and I've got a specific WhatsApp number where people reach out to me, they identify themselves, and there's a little bit of automation in that, and then I guide them where to go and then connect them to the particular unit or regiment or to the organization itself and guide them what they can do. And certain places I need expert advice. Sometimes people require counseling, sometimes people require in career counseling, sometimes people require life counseling. So I then reach out to the experts, and I must tell you through your channel and your medium that the public of India is very passionate about the Indian Armed Forces, and they recognize the sacrifice of the soldier and the families. So many of them are willing to do this gratis and willing to help out. Only thing we need to be clean in our method and process and know who is going to solve the problem.
Yes. So you were talking about expert, and it just took me to KBC. I have seen you on so many episodes of KBC, you come and then you help people win money. So how do you get time for such social engagements? And you were doing it while in service as well, right? So kaise nikalte ho aap time?
To plan it, and it's something that I like to do because I was been quizzing, and I've been participating in quizzes, conducting quizzes while I was in the army, while I was at school. And when I participated in a very prestigious quiz program called Mastermind, which used to come in BBC, so that was a great opportunity for me for the quizzing world to know about my quizzing abilities, although I didn't make it to the finals, but it is a completely no prize money competition. And the same organizers organized KBC, so they knew that yes, I had the knowledge. And why not Mr. Bachchan? Who doesn't want to be in front of Mr. Bachchan? Who doesn't want to be in front of Mrs. Arthi, Karthik? Similarly, who doesn't want to be in front of Mr. Bachchan? He's a great professional. And so when this opportunity came while I was in service, when you're in service, a lot of rules and regulations. So one had to navigate through that. Once I'm retired, when I was a veteran, when the opportunity came, I grabbed it with both hands, and it gives you a great opportunity to interact with a cross section of people,
yes.
and especially in North India, which also helps my cause of Project Sambandh, because I use that platform to talk about this, and people then recognize, and when Mr. Bachchan introduces, it also gives a little bit of mileage. So, and I know every time I just cross my fingers that I should not get stuck in a question, and luckily those options help me out. But people ask me, "Aapko to pehle hi batate honge questions." I said, no, they don't tell you the questions. It could be any question. Luckily, because of the experience of quizzing and the choices they're giving, it's an elimination.
All those people do not know that you're way too intelligent.
It's more of awareness. It's more of awareness, and the questions are very basic questions for a quizzer at least, and somebody who's aware keeps his ears and eyes open. So I love that experience. You can come on camera and you can reach out to a whole of India, and Mr. Bachchan experience is always great.
And what about your, magician days? Do you plan to get them back now that you are a veteran? You have more time.
I love the art. I love the art. Unfortunately, I can't even play a single note. Music has been never in our blood, and so I always wanted to pursue art. I can't draw a single line. So I said magic is a great art because this is something which doesn't require a language, and it connects all age groups.
Yes.
And I discovered it maybe when I was a teenager. And I used to have a lot of books on magic. There were hardly any TV shows at that time. But then, of course, we had heard of P.C. Shankar,
yes.
then Paul Daniels in UK. So I used to be fascinated by the kind of magic that they perform, illusions and things like that. And the army career, I found it to be a great conversation starter, especially with children and, when you go to a social function. Yes. And then I realized that it's also got healing effect. Okay. So I used to go to military hospitals and perform small tricks for children and for the patients there, and I found that the reaction was amazing. And I continued that, and I performed a couple of shows, not-for-profit shows, and I go for small events and do it in barakhanas and things like that. So it at least breaks the ice, and it's a wonderful art form. Doesn't require any language, and the reaction is immediate.
Yes.
It's immediate.
I think that's the best part.
Absolutely.
You're able to see that the audience is enjoying.
Absolutely. Audience enjoying, and more often than not, you can see the bewilderment,
yes.
and the astonishment that how did this happen, and that satisfies any artist.
And you are the first person who has come up with the dictionary, which is a trilingual dictionary, Hindi, English, Zonka. And I don't think it has ever happened, a dictionary in 3 languages. So you are the person responsible. So how did this connection with Zonka?
Well, your research is amazing.
Thank you.
So I had a great opportunity. I was selected to, as part of my professional engagement, be posted to Bhutan, which is our neighboring country, and the national language of Bhutan is Zonka. So I realized when you go to a different country, most important is to understand the culture of the country. It's very, very important. And one of the most important things in culture is language. Language breaks a lot of barriers. And I realized that even one can pick up a little bit of spattering parts of the language, it's important. But I found that the language to be very, very easy to learn because it's got a lot of roots in Sanskrit, and the grammar is very, very similar. So I, took help of some teachers there while I was in Bhutan, and I was completely no shame at all. I used to just talk in Zonka with all the mistakes.
But that's the best way to learn a language.
Absolutely.
With a local, in their language, so that you also know the dialect and the nuances of the language.
So that's where I started. Then I realized that because Indian Army trains the Royal Bhutan Army, and we've got, we train a lot. So I realized that this cultural intelligence, which is, language is very important. Even if our soldiers know about it, it'll be important. They don't have to write theses or write poetry, but if you can do conversational Zonka, how are you, where are you from, I am from so and so place, it'll help, So I brought out a small handbook which had Hindi, English and Zonka small phrases. Then I realized if I can bring about a dictionary, it could help, people who are serious scholars, and Hindi is such an important thing, and because a lot of Bhutanese come to India, so it will help them also, people who are not aware. So English, Hindi, Zonka. And it was the first trilingual dictionary. The Chief of Army Staff presented to His Majesty the King of Bhutan, and was well received. Of course, now we got tech tools where you can have an app and you get all the answers. But in those days, this was in 2006 and 8.
But nothing can beat a book ever.
Never. Dictionary is always is a must, and of course we tried to keep it the mistakes minimum because I was not a native speaker. But then we took some experts' help and things like that. But it was well received, and still many of them use it for referring some text and things like that. So that is a great experience. My experience in Bhutan itself was a awakening for me, because a country which believes in
the king of Bhutan receives you with so much of warmth, and he happens to be a friend as well. If I'm not wrong.
His Majesty the fifth King Jigme Khesa Wangchuk, amazing man. His father was even is still a legend. Luckily, I was in the most historic times in Bhutan. We saw His Majesty the fourth King abdicating, His Majesty the fifth King being coronated, democracy coming into Bhutan. His Majesty and I, there was not much of age difference, so one could relate, culturally, socially. He was a great sportsman. And a great person who could encourage. So we could meet socially also many times, and I learnt a lot from His Majesty, and how he conducted himself, his knowledge about his people, how much compassion he had. Much younger to me, but one could see the statesman in him. And yes, definitely it was a great experience for me. And Bhutan as a country itself believes in something called gross national happiness, where they believe that a country should be measured not by the money or economy, but by how
not
happy absolutely, not by GDP,
the happiness.
But by the happiness. So although they're not the happiest country, but they're always working towards making everything happy. And this is something that I followed in my life, that life is all about being in the present and trying to be happy and trying to accommodate what makes you joyful and make others joyful through your service or how you conduct yourself. And that 2.5 years in Bhutan, I could witness history. It's like being in 1947 in India, see a change of power, constitution being written. People who were in 1947 will have those memories. And I was in the thick of the things in Bhutan at that time. And to see a constitution being formulated and signed is a lifetime, moment. And that has continued, and I've been going to Bhutan often to meet friends, to exchange ideas. But I believe that diplomacy is not only between heads of states; it's also between people to people. So I try to believe in that people to people contact should be very good. And till today, unfortunately, Bhutan is closed because of Corona. Otherwise, this is the right time to go to Bhutan.
So, Vembu, tell me, talking about sports, being in the army, sports was a second nature, for you people, and. How did the connection with cricket happen for you? How did M.S.Dhoni connection happen?
Sports definitely is part of. I was not a great sportsman when I was in NDA, but yes, I was captain of my volleyball team of my squadron, where one of the lower division players we were, and we led the team to victory and things like that. And but I always love sport, because sport teaches you a lot in life. The best thing that sport teaches you is defeat. The moment you lose, there are a lot of things that you can learn. And we already had that if poem in our in NDA, which says that treat victory and defeat the same, both are imposters. How M.S.Dhoni happened is not much of sports, but because of my autograph collection, So I met him a couple of times to get his autograph, but then I was invited to a dinner when I was posted in an eastern sector. And he was also part of the dinner, and then we got talking about the armed forces, his knowledge about the weaponry in the army, the aircrafts that we have in the Air Force was extensive, and then we could exchange some ideas. And he played for Chennai Super Kings. That was the team that I was supporting in the IPL, being from Chennai,
Yes.
And
so you and I both are Tamilians, so yes, Chennai, yes.
And you're wearing the right color.
Yeah.
And today we're having a match between Chennai and Mumbai. So that's how I met M.S.Dhoni. We could relate to many things. And then the World Cup happened, India won, and then I went, when the World Cup final was happening, I went and watched a couple of matches, and slowly our friendship became stronger. I assisted in a small way to him becoming honorary lieutenant colonel. We got him an honorary lieutenant colonel because they were looking out for some great ambassadors, but he was much more than that. He was just not an ambassador. He actually he still lives the life of an army personnel. He joined the parachute regiment and he did some para jumps and things like that. And I've been in touch with him. And then when he got the Padma Bhushan, one of the things that I told him that why don't you wear a uniform since you're an honorary lieutenant colonel and receive the award, the kind of mileage and the kind of things that people will see will be amazing. He was a little apprehensive initially, but then we made sure that permissions are granted. And then if you see the video of him receiving the Padma Bhushan is amazing, the way he marches and gets the award. So a lot of people are talking about it. And so that's the whole aim of an ambassador, people should talk about and be the face of
You're able to reflect.
Absolutely. And that friendship, I have learnt a lot from him, much younger to me, but the experience of leadership, 2 or 3 important things that I learned. One of the most important things is control the controllables. He taught me this mantra in life that you have to control the controllables. If it's not in your control, no use breaking a sweat about it. And many other things, how he leads his life, how he can manage his time, how he understands people.
I'm sure you have also left so many good lessons in his mind. I'm so sure of that.
I think we exchange a lot of ideas. We'll exchange a lot of ideas, especially in how to handle team members. You have to be a part of the team before you lead them. How to listen. This is something that I learned as a youngster.
Listening
that you have to listen.
The most important thing.
So this is something that I always used to share with him, that listen more. And he taught me many things. It's an exchange of information between the both of us.
And then the friendship carries on.
Absolutely.
Touch wood.
Touch wood.
So, Vembu, you have so many, feathers on your cap. What else is it that you look forward to now that you have more time?
In fact, I've got less time now because of Project Sambandh. I'm busy. But I'll definitely like to, meet more people, put down my experiences in terms of a book where people can read it and, gain from the experience that I have. I'm also looking into the ways that I can contribute back to the society, especially in the education field, where I like to be involved with some schools. I always believe in charity begins at home. So start with my own school that I went to, help them out.
Which was the school in Chennai?
This was in PS Senior Secondary School in Chennai, in Mylapore.
Okay.
So the awareness of the defense forces or the armed forces is very less in the south, especially in the areas that we were in. So I'm trying to motivate them, trying to tell them that this is a great option to serve the country, and you can get to see the world. Not only India, you can get to see the world. You can get to see interesting people. You can be a better human being. So this is something that I'm trying to get into, try and help them out in education, especially in motivating people, trying to give them, the life experience that I've been through. This is going to keep me busy, I think. And as I get older, I think my energy level will come down, but I'm trying to keep it up.
No, I don't think it's going to come down, especially because this is something that you love.
Absolutely.
So, motivational speaker, is it a part of Vembu, or is it a part of the experiences that you have gathered over the years, or is it what you have read that you talk about, or is it an amalgamation of everything?
Mostly it's experience, because I believe that when you can tell your own story, how you've been, what of the experience have been, it relates more to people. When you read and tell somebody else's story, people say, oh, we could have read it ourselves. It's only that you're narrating that story of somebody else. But when you tell your own story, and my story has been colorful. I've been very, very lucky. Influences in terms of my people from my family, my friends, my teachers. I always say these are the 3 most important people, and out of which your parents are not in your control. You're born to some parents, the teachers because you go to a particular school, but the friends are very, very important. How you choose your friends, and so I've been lucky. I chose the right kind of friends, and the camaraderie that I built while in school as well as in National Defence Academy and Indian Military Academy and throughout my service career, it's very important. So I try and tell my experiences and the mistakes that I've made. It's not always that you're making the right decisions. Many times you've failed, and you tell them how to overcome that failure, and a failure will happen. And so these are the things that I share. And I think it resonates. I do a lot of motivational talks when I speak to children. I speak to people in the corporate sector, and they seem to be, gaining some lessons from it.
I'm sure they must be.
Yeah.
Vembu, something that you want to tell my viewers of How's the Josh? How do you maintain that kind of a positivity around you always? You always have that smile, and your eyes are always gleaming. How do you do that?
Well, first of all, it's been a great opportunity for me to be in House Josh. Wonderful name to a channel. So the Josh has to be high. It also has to be mixed with Hosh. So Hosh is something is called awareness. It's not only Josh, you have to have also Hosh. So to be aware, you need to be in the present. So this is a thing that I've been following in my life, that the past is not in your control. The present is definitely in your control. What you can, how you can shape your present so that your future becomes better. So this is something that I've been following, Josh with Hosh, and this is something that I like to share with all your viewers, that all the very best. It's been great interacting with you and being on this lovely channel, How's the Josh, and I wish everyone all the very best, and Jai Hind.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Arthi. Thank you very much. Okay.
So this was a beautiful conversation with Colonel Vembu Shankar, veteran Shaurya Chakra, and I am going back with so many interesting episodes, anecdotes and experiences, and I hope you too have. Do subscribe to my channel and do comment on this episode and also share. Thank you so much for being a part of House of Josh. I'll see you in the next episode.